There's some huge new scandalous things with Biden. Got some huge stories with Tucker, who was at Turning Point. He was on Timcast with Tim Pool. And I got a couple clips that are absolutely amazing that I'm going to get into with that. And there's a major story that is breaking nationally that started down here in this area. So I'm gonna open with the national story that's local here, and then we're gonna get into Tucker and a whole bunch more. And of course, your calls are also welcome. Oh man, it's one of those days where you really don't know what's going on here. I mean, this first story is so disturbing. Okay. All right, stand by. Here we go.
AdoptUSKids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, welcome to the program. It is Tuesday morning, December 19th, 2023. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show. We've got a lot to cover today. Some huge things I'm going to get into later in the hour with Tucker Carlson. Some huge stuff with Tucker Carlson, who has the ear of President Trump. Or I guess in the other way around, right? Trump has his ear, he's got Trump's ear. So a lot of big things came out of Tucker Carlson, which I'm going to get to in a little bit, and a whole bunch more. Some really scandalous things with the Bidens, and a major news story involving January 6th, and many more things, including the attack on our southern border that is going on as we speak. But there is a national story that I'm going to start with first that is local to us here in South Florida. Did you see what happened at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland? Of course, the site of that god-awful mass shooting a few years back. I'm going to go through this story because this story is an important story. It is a local story. It is a national story that's getting global attention because it's at Marjory Stoneman Douglas. But there's something bigger in play here, which I'm going to share with you as we go through this story. And anyone out there in the local community that has any info on this, I certainly would welcome your call. Here's the headline. And there's photographs of everyone involved. 4 Parkland High School students charged in brutal beating of teen after shocking video showed him being slammed into concrete and knocked out cold. 4 of the teenagers accused of savagely beating a student outside Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. By the way, yet again, where is the resource officer? The last resource officer, who was so fat he hasn't seen his penis when he's gone to the bathroom in 30 years, hid and did fake radio calls. Now we've got 4 kids brutally attack one student, and where's the resource officer this time? What's the point of the resource? The resource officer, you're not just supposed to wait till your retirement. 4 of the teenagers accused of savagely beating a student outside Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School have been pictured after being charged with felony battery. I have their mugshots are in the Daily Mail, and I did tweet this article. I'm not going to read their names, but I'll give you their ages. These are the ones who were arrested. A 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, another 16-year-old, and another 17-year-old. They've all been arrested. They're in custody. Their mugshots have been released. All of the charged attackers attend the school, the site of one of America's worst mass shootings, except for one of them, the 15-year-old who attends Coral Glades High School. Not sure where that is. Video of the shocking fight. I'm so glad that the other students took time to get their Instagram story done here. This kid is lucky to be alive, and the students are sitting around making TikToks. And the school resource officer, I guess he's as good as the last one. Video of the shocking fight shows a teen boy carrying the victim over his shoulder before he slams him head first onto the concrete. That's attempted murder right there as far as I'm concerned. Head first into the concrete, fracturing his skull and rendering him unconscious. A friend of the victim said 15 people had been chasing him before the vicious attack, which occurred as he was walking towards the school parking lot. He was being chased. Now, there's something I'm going to get to with this story that the article so far hasn't touched on, but I'm going to do it. And let me tell you something. Short of doing what Nicholas Cruz did, what would justify a mob of 15 chasing one kid? And by the way, you creepy teachers out there, they're not young adults. They're children, young adults. Saw another story of a lady teacher having sex with her students. Well, they're young adults. Yeah, and you're a creep. All right, but getting back to this. A friend of the victim said 15 people had been chasing him before the vicious attack, which occurred as he was walking towards the school parking lot. The video sees at least 2 attackers continuing to punch the victim after he was smashed into the ground. And remember, smashed into the ground head first into concrete. I tell you, there's a lot of photos. There's video. Don't watch the video. I watched it because I need to see it so I can talk about it to you all. Don't watch the video. It's very disturbing. Still photo. See the victim on the ground, not moving. Some students have gone over to help him. Several other teen boys approached the unnamed student, the victim, and appear to try to help him, but he remains unresponsive. Where are the teachers? Where's the administrators? And of course, where is the school resource officer? Shouldn't this school be a little more secure after the god-awful mass shooting that the school district of Broward County and the corrupt sheriff's office at the time are responsible for? Witnesses said that one teen pulled out a knife during the altercation last week. Now, I don't know so far which teen they're talking about. Okay, because I'm reading this story cold with you all. I've read this story in other accounts, but this one looked like it had more details, so I'm reading this for the first time with you. I don't know who pulled the knife. I'll tell you this. There was an incident years ago, which Steve and I may talk about later because we were involved in this, where there was a boy who was being bullied and beaten, and he brought a knife to school for self-defense because the school didn't protect him. So if it turns out that the victim had the knife, and I'm not saying he did, it says one of the teens, I'm assuming it's one of the attackers, what's he going to do? The teachers are sitting on their butt because they're scared. The cops that are assigned to the school, where are they? Probably flirting with the girls in the office. I don't know. But I do know this. Well, let me finish, then I'll tell you what I do know. Witnesses said that one teen pulled a knife out during the altercation last week. A friend of the victim told WSVN-TV, "I was there when they started chasing him. But when I left, he was just in an ambulance leaving." Oh, great friend. Did you call 911? The heck? I heard he got fractured his skull or something. The student who was attacked was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. Really? Fractured skull, pile drive to the skull on concrete? Who says these are non-life-threatening injuries? The student who was attacked was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries following the assault and is now reportedly recovering at home. What? With a head injury like that where he was unconscious? Detectives with Coral Springs Police made arrest overnight on Thursday. Oh, I get it. This all happened last week. This is the late news. We're just finding out about it. Today's Tuesday. This happened last week. Just finding out about it. Detectives with Coral Springs Police, and thank the Lord above for the Coral Springs Police, while the Broward Sheriff's Office was cowering because they had their lady lieutenant or captain not have anybody go in during the assault, including paramedics and armed police officers. Coral Springs showed up and went in on the day of the shooting. Detectives with Coral Springs Police made arrest overnight Thursday, all four being taken to the Juvenile Assessment Center. The suspects have all been charged with one count of felony battery, which police said reflects the serious nature of their actions. Our detectives have worked tirelessly around the clock, along with our law enforcement partners, to include the Broward Sheriff's Office and the Broward County State's Attorney's Office, to swiftly identify and apprehend the individuals involved, the police said. The safety of our community and schools remains our top priority. Where's the school cop, the resource officer? Strolling around in his golf cart or something again? This continues to be an ongoing investigation where additional arrests may be forthcoming. We want to assure the public that such behavior will not be tolerated. Well, gee whiz. Broward County School Board Chair released a statement. School Board Chair said, the incident is deeply upsetting. We're thankful that the injured student is recovering. Our thoughts are with him, his family, and all the families that have been impacted. We're thankful to the Coral Springs Police. The arrests serve as a crucial lesson about severe blah, blah, blah. Then they give us a bunch of stuff about Nicholas Cruz, who is the shooter. Let's see if there's anything new that I have not shared. Okay, we're going to take a break, and I'm going to share something with you about this story that they have not highlighted in the article. In fact, have not mentioned in the article. All right, so don't go anywhere. My name is Brian. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. Back after this.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action.
Judge today accused in a brutal beatdown that went viral.
Oh my goodness.
The judge, though, was very clear they're not to have any contact with the victim, not to go back to the school or the park where the incident happened. Another teen out on juvenile detention. This time it's 15-year-old Chinua Lefet, one student who does not attend Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. That is not innocent. I'm telling you straight up.
Wow. Wow.
Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, Harrison Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at True Oldie.
All right, we are back. My name is Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show. Let me finish up with this story in Parkland. And if anybody has any more information, this happened last week. I just found out about it this morning. Okay, because they're talking about Thursday. Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah. Channel 10 in Broward, listen to this story. Listen to this. Father of one of the arrested teens says his son was attacked first. Well, let's find out about that. But if he was attacked first, that justifies 4 guys attacking him? 5 teenage boys are facing felony charges after police said they were caught on camera jumping a victim and body slamming him. And remember the other story, head first in the concrete. Slamming him in a Coral Springs parking lot at Parkland's Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Tuesday. So it was a week ago. And now the principal wants them out. Oh, well, thanks for the bold stand. Where were you, your staff, your school cop resource officer when this happened, principal? I haven't seen any reporters in the story. I haven't seen that question. 4 of the students were in custody Friday. A local 10 news crew heard from the father of, and I think this is the youngest of those that was arrested, who said his son had been attacked before, and there is more to the story. The kid, referencing the victim, is not innocent, I'm telling you. The reporter says, so you're saying he was attacked first? Father says, he was attacked first. I have video in that, the father said. My son is the victim here, not the one who had his head slammed into the concrete head first. According to the arrest warrant, the victim had been in a fight with at least some of the alleged attackers earlier in the week, and because of that had requested a friend walk with him to the parking lot. Again, this is the school parking lot, right? Where's the administrators? Where's the teachers? Where's the school cop again? This school is the site of one of the worst school mass murder events in the history of the world. And you're telling me that there are students that are having violent fights there? There's students that are so fearful that they're asking friends to walk with them for protection? You know, I went to that town hall meeting after that jerk Jake Tapper had at CNN after the god-awful events at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and all I heard from officials were security and this and that. And you know, our Steve and I, we used to have a studio in Coral Springs, down the street from Wings Plus. It wasn't at the radio station. We had our own studio for many, many years there. And I used to drive by that school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, to and from the studio every day. And after the events, even after the TV crews left, there was security at the gate for the longest time. And then that kind of turned into what are those guardian angels, the Curtis Leawood people. But I guess they're not there anymore. There's no publicity. There's no camera trucks across the... Well, I guess there are now. There's no camera trucks across the street or anything. So, I guess the security's a little lax. Now, here's something I want to throw out I do not know. All 4 arrested are African American. The victim is white. I want to know if there's a hate crime aspect to this. And I've read several news stories on it this morning before I came in here, plus the one I just shared from the Daily Mail, and no one's speculating on this. All 4 that were arrested, African American, the victim white, and this was a violent beatdown. I mean, this was a hardcore, violent beatdown. I went to a tough high school, and we had a lot of violent events that happened at the school I'm here to tell you. But I don't think I've seen one as bad as this. I've seen 1-on-1, 2-on-1. I've never seen 4 do this. So if anybody has any more intel on this, any more information, it's certainly welcome. But, we don't know more than what I've shared, but I do know this, and this is not necessarily about this incident. If you're on hold, stand by. But I do know that the left have, we've got this mayor in Chicago who said there are some problems that are so white, and she has a racially segregated event, and we've got critical race theory in the school, and and kids are being taught that white people are terrible. You saw this one hip-hop artist or whatever, he called this girl up on stage, she's white, and then he threw her down and told people to attack her. You see that in the news yesterday? There's a lot of anger. Young minorities are being brainwashed by the Democrats to hate whitey and feel justified in their rage against honkies. I can say whitey and honkies because I'm white. If you're not white, you can't. H word, W word will suffice, okay? And you've got to ask yourself, I have seen, believe me, I saw a lot of violence in schools. Sometimes I was in on it, okay? I was in a few fights in school. Fights don't usually last too long, especially if you know where to get them. I know. But you've got to ask yourself, is there a racial component to the root cause of this? I'm not talking about what happened that day. Obviously, there's been an ongoing conflict. What was the ongoing conflict, and who had the knife? If you're on hold, stand by. I will take calls after the break at the bottom. We don't have time, but I'll say this. About, I don't even know how many years ago, but many years ago, there was an incident. There was a kid in a local, I can't remember if it was an elementary school or a middle school in Broward County. And he's African American. And he got arrested for having a knife at school. And it turned out he was being bullied. And he brought the knife to school because the school wasn't protecting him. Like this kid in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, which should be a fortress. Where are the Parkland kids? Are they going to comment on this? Hogg and the rest? I don't know. Maybe they have already and I missed it. I don't know why I'm just learning about this today. I follow the news rather closely. How did I miss this incident? But this kid was arrested. He brought a knife to school because he was being bullied and the school wasn't protecting him. He's black. And Steve went out and got him a top lawyer, a top criminal defense attorney in Broward County to represent him pro bono for free. And he saved that kid's life because they were going to lock him up. And he brought the knife for protection. I want to know who, and that was that incident. I can't remember the kid's name. Even if I did, I wouldn't share it. He's an adult now. I don't know where he is or what happened to him, but I know he was on the path to jail. And then so I want to know who had the knife here and why. I want to know what happened in these prior incidents. Not what led up to this. Something happened last week. What led up to that incident last week? Reporters are so stupid. All they do is copy and paste an article into ChatGPT, rewrite it, and then they report it. You don't have any investigative reporters. I've been reading all these stories finding out what the heck's going on. And in all these stories I've read, they got the principal. Where's the school cop? Which is why Nicholas Cruz was the school cop last time was afraid of Nicholas Cruz. That's why he called in the fake radio calls and pretend, are you in there? You in there? Oh, what? One Coral Springs cop off duty, watering the grass at the baseball field, ran over, borrowed a gun from a Coral Springs officer and went in. Borrowed a gun and a vest, in shorts and a t-shirt. I'm not sure if he had flip-flops on, but I'll tell you, this is another failure at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Okay? So I want to know what happened. Where's the administration? Where's the cop? Where are the teachers? You're telling me that there wasn't word around the school that there was some problems from the original incident before this happened? And when it was going on, where were they then? And is this a hate crime? I don't know. There's a lot of questions here. All right. Our number 1-888-GO Kane 1-888-465-2631. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this.
Making morning radio great again.
I think you're gonna really love it.
It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Gregg.
It's disgusting. This story is disgusting. It's disgusting. It was 4-on-1, 15 chasing, and then 4-on-1 during the, on the beatdown. President Obama Highway, where's that at? Where's that at? The traffic report, President Obama Highway, it's got to be a toll road. Yeah, where's that at?
Apparently down south.
Oh, a fifth teenager has been arrested as of yesterday. A 17-year-old turned himself in. Okay, according to court records, witnesses told police, and they've arrested a fifth teen. Witnesses told police, this is in court records, so this is under oath, an unknown suspect walked up to the victim and punched him in the face. The attacker then incited several other males who then joined in on the attack of the victim, who was then picked up into the air, slammed back to the ground, causing his head to smack the concrete pavement. There's very light reporting on this, even in the local news. It's insanity. Freaking insanity. Mm. Yeah, I mean, very light reporting on this. I mean, I'm even going through our local news, and I'm having a hard time getting any more details that I've already shared. Now, listen, guys, I put a link up there to a friend of mine's podcast. That is a very good podcast and very highly produced. So if you could click that link, check out that podcast, and give it a listen, I'd appreciate it. Oh, yeah. A head injury like that's pretty severe. Well, who would feel safe? I wouldn't. Would you let your kid go back to that school? The shooting, now this? We'll get to the Tucker stuff later, but I saw this story today, and it has to be discussed.
So don't use the rest. Only go to any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs. And make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 46.
All right, a little more information. A fifth teenager was arrested in the beatdown. And witnesses, according to court records, it's being reported, according to court records, one witness said one of the teens came up to the victim, punched him in the face, and then encouraged others to give him a beat down. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian. This is Fred from Coral Springs.
Oh, well, you're right in ground zero here.
Yeah, I am, actually. And I apologize. I was on my pillow mattress top until about 6:10, so I missed the first start of your comments.
Oh.
So I'm just going to make a little possibly clarification. The actual incident happened in the parking lot, which is not on school property. If you know the geography up there, the school is on the north side of the sawgrass, and the parking lot is on the south side of the sawgrass.
That's right.
I don't know if a lot of these kids are seniors or not, but they usually let the seniors park in the park, and then they walk to classes. So,
well, I'll tell you this. Let me tell you this. And I, because I know that area. I'm in Parkland all the time. If I'm going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit on that road, or 5 miles an hour over the speed limit between Loxahatchee and Hillsborough Boulevard, which is Parkland, that BSO officer's got me pulled over writing me tickets. Okay? So I mean, come on. Can you take a break from the speed traps? Okay? All right? I appreciate it. I see them sometimes at Jersey Mike's, and I'll tell them, I mean, come on, the speed limit sign's got a tree in front of it. What's going on? You can't even see. But the thing about this beatdown, okay, if they have like a senior parking lot down the street, that's still school grounds, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it is too. But the point is that it's actually about a quarter mile from the school.
Yeah, I know where it is. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
Is the fact that it's the parking lot is right across the street from an elementary school.
Yeah. So, listen, we don't have very much information because we don't have reporters. We've got plagiarists that just copy and paste stuff, right, in the news. So it's hard to get a lot of information. But is there a possible hate crime component here?
Yeah, there very well could be. I don't know all the details myself. I did hear about it last week on the Channel 10 app.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it hasn't been... I've gotten more information from my neighbor than the news.
Okay. Well, if any other neighbors are out there that have any more intel on this, I want to hear from you. Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. And I know you're sleeping well on the MyPillow mattress topper. Absolutely. Here's the thing. And this is very important. And then after the break, I'm going to get into I'll get into Tucker Carlson and stuff, guys. But this is a local story, but it's also a national story. That god-awful shooting could have been avoided. Nicholas Cruz, I've told this many times, I'll tell it again. I know some of you guys are long-time listeners, probably tired of me hearing this. I ran into Nicholas Cruz once at Wawa, okay? And he scared the living hell out of me. This was obviously before the shooting because since then he hasn't been going to Wawa. And he's a short guy. And I got my coffee at Wawa. He was waiting to get a sandwich, and this was like 4:30 in the morning. I was on my way to the radio station. And he stared at me and scared me so much. He was creepy. I was looking over my shoulder when I was walking to the gas pump. I kid you not. And when the shooting happened, and I saw him, he looked familiar, and I couldn't remember where he was. And then it connected a few days later where I had the run-in. And I remember watching one girl in particular was being interviewed. Multiple kids were being interviewed, but I remember one girl in particular. They were being interviewed outside Marjory Stoneman Douglas before Nicholas Cruz had been identified. And students were saying, Nicholas Cruz did this. One girl I saw on an interview, she ran into Nicholas Cruz during the evacuation of the school. She was in the building. She bumped into him, and she said, Nick, I thought this would have been you. Because he hid among the students fleeing. He should have been in jail. Police had been to his house more than a dozen times. But see, they do this thing of cooking the crime stats. Parkland, I still don't understand this. In Broward County, Parkland is one of the most exclusive communities in Broward County. But it's also as far from the ocean as you can be. It's like on the edge of the Everglades. I never understood that. But a lot of people in Parkland are rich and powerful, influential people, and the homes over there are worth a lot of money. So they were cooking the crime stats. They didn't want anyone arrested. If no one's arrested, there's no crime on the books. Property prices don't get affected, I guess. And I remember it was the night of or the day after the shooting. I saw an interview with an adult on one of the networks, and said, we can't believe this has happened. Parkland had some designation that they were one of the safest cities in America or Florida or something. Yeah, because they don't arrest people. Because they don't want the crime stats. But oh boy, watch out. And I'll tell you, who else they hate? You know who they really hate, the cops in Parkland? You know who they are? If you're a pool guy, watch out. Do you have a lawn crew? Avoid Parkland. Okay? The cops in Parkland love to pull over the pool guys, that have those little trailers behind the car. They love to pull over the lawn guys. I guess they figure, pull them over, got the man, I'll find a citation, harassing these working men to give them a ticket, and their whole day wages are wiped out. I see that all the time. It ticks me off. But school shooters, gangs attacking a kid in the parking lot, well, hey, this pool guy, got to see, maybe I get some citations on him. I'm sorry. It's a joke over there in Parkland. And for something like this to happen, after what happened before, if I had a child there, because a lot of times what people will tell themselves is, well, things are safer here now. What are the odds of something? What are the odds? Yeah. Saying it happened. If I had a kid in that school, they'd be out. They would never return. Never return. I would never send my kid to Marjory Stoneman Douglas. After this again? Are you kidding? And the high school I went to in Fort Lauderdale, Stranahan High School, one of the at the time, one of the roughest schools in South Florida, if not the roughest. Okay? We had Cracker Slap Day one day there. I remember Cracker Slap Day. Oh, that was beautiful. You can figure out what Cracker Slap Day was. I was there that day. Oh, yeah, that was fun. That was fun, yeah. So it was a rough school. I've never seen, in all the rough, I saw guys get ganged up on by a couple guys before. But I never saw a mob of 15 chasing a boy down the street. Have you? And a gang of 4 doing a beatdown? I've never seen something like that. Now, I'm sorry I don't have more information, but none of the local news are investigating. Very little information. So if you have any more information on this to fill in the blanks, I am very happy to hear it. I'm dying to know why a mob of 15 were chasing one child. Not young adult. I hate that creepy crap. Oh, young adults. Yeah, right. What was behind it? What is the justification for a mob of 15 students to chase one child? What happened? It's not in any of the stories. I know when the shooting happened, the local and national news were parked out there for months. And I'll tell you this, the students love to talk to the TV cameras. They love to talk to TV cameras. So, all these news stations, park your trucks over there. Talk to the kids after the bell today. Find out what happened. This principal should be out. The cops around there should be out. One last thing before we break. When I was in school, we had a school resource officer, Fort Lauderdale police officer, like the rest. He had a golf cart and everything else. And I didn't realize it at the time because I was a child. Okay? But he had riding around in his golf cart, palling around with some of the scariest kids at the school. The troubled kids. And of course, why was that? So he could get intel on what was going on. Okay? You're telling me that something was going on where 15 students, according to the witnesses, chased one child down the street and no one at the school that was an adult heard anything about it? Come on. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. Our number 1-888-GO-CANE-1. 888. I never thought we'd be talking about another incident at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Oh, it's the parking lot down the street. Okay. Well, let's move on then. It's, 1-888-465-2631. Back after this.
The cold, hard truth.
It's outrageous. It's outrageous. Disgusting. Disgusting. It's outrageous. What a beautiful day today is.
Warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. We'll get back to this. I'm hoping to get some people from the Coral Springs, Parkland area who have some intel on what happened. But, man, is it cold this morning? You know what? This morning, when I got out of bed, I was like, oh, my gosh, it's so cold. It's so cold. And when my dog, she got up, she wanted out. And she went out and she wanted right back in. My cat goes on our back porch and she came right back in. They didn't even want to go out. It's cold, man. And you know what? It's just starting. And with all the cold weather, you want to be warm at night. And there's no better way to do that than with My Pillow cozy comforters and blankets and duvet covers that have huge, huge discounts. You know, Mike Lindell, for his loyalty to President Trump, has been kicked out of all the big stores, Walmart, Bed Bath & Beyond, and look what happened, right, to them. Oh, boy. Kohl's, they've all kicked My Pillow out because Mike Lindell's MAGA. They may not have noticed most of the country are MAGA. Have you seen the polls yet? Walmart? But, yeah, and we've been with My Pillow for a long, long time, keeping Americans, keeping MAGA warm during the cold winter months that we're in with the My Pillow comforters, duvet covers, and blankets. When you use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com, you're going to get huge discounts on down blankets, down comforters, duvet covers. If you haven't tried them out yet, man, these down blankets and down comforters, they're cozy, they're fluffy, they're extremely comfortable, and they keep you warm. In fact, My Pillow's down blankets are 500 fill. They come in twin, queen, and king sizes. And they are 30% off with the promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. The My Pillow down blankets have white goose down inside of them. You know, Mike Lindell says most of the competitors have duck down or down alternatives. White goose down is better. It has superior insulating power. The feathers are sorted by hand. They're hand selected. They use only the smallest, softest, most delicate, so that you have a light down blanket. Oh, yeah, and 30% off with the promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. Order them for yourself. Order them as a gift. You'll love them. Just go to MyPillow.com. And remember, you can use the promo code KANE on all the specials at MyPillow.com. All right, to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Louise, the match lady in Boca.
Hey, Louise.
Yes, well, I'm here since 75. And then I'm sorry I don't have any information on the incident you're talking about.
Well, don't apologize. The local news, they don't want to give us much.
Yeah, but do you remember Boyd Anderson? High school? You talk about your school? I had just moved into Inverary, and I had to send my son to live with my mother in Boca because there was stabbings and whatever.
Yeah.
Boyd Anderson, it was somewhere in the Oakland Park Boulevard area.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it still is.
Yeah. I mean, so what kind of protection? I mean, stabbings. I had to send my son. I couldn't even live with my...
Well, you know, listen, that was like 45 years ago, and what we have here is we have the site of one of the worst mass shootings in history, and students still are not safe. You know, what they have these endless discussions and investigations and town halls and trials. Nicholas Cruz got 17 life sentences, and it's still dangerous. And I'll tell you, this kid was pile-drived headfirst into the concrete. They say he's resting at home. He can't be out of the clear yet for something that happened a week ago. Are you kidding me?
Of course. It's a horror. It's a horror, and I thought Parkland was such a nice area. Supposedly. Well, they got that wrong.
Yep, all right. Mask lady, take care. Thank you for the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning.
Yes, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Joan from Tampa Bay again.
Hey, Joan.
You know, that's horrible. I grew up in Broward County, actually. I went to Plantation High School, and then I went to Piper High School after that once it was built. I was the second graduating class. But anyway, how about this teen in Las Vegas? He got killed, 17 years old. 15 people killed him.
Yeah.
And I think that was a hate crime because the children involved in murdering this poor boy that was 17 years old, you know?
Well, I know this, okay? I follow the news pretty closely. For there to be an incident like this, at this level, at that school, last week, and I'm only finding out about it this morning, that's not my negligence. That's the incompetence of the media. And the reason that this story isn't being widely publicized, they've arrested 5. I've only seen mugshots of 4. But the 4 mugshots they released are African-American students, and the victim is white. If it was reversed, we would have known. We'd have woken up. We'd have known about it the day of. And because of the racial component, like with that gay sex scandal in the Senate, it's being suppressed, it's being covered up, and there's very little reporting. And they got a problem in Parkland. If this was a racial incident, they got a big problem, you know. And remember, our superintendent, I don't know if he's still the superintendent, but the one there during the shooting was from the Obama regime. Remember that with that My Brother's Keeper program that allowed Nicholas Cruz not to be expelled. We've got a problem in our schools because the leftists have brought their critical race theory and other nonsense into schools like this, and they're causing racial tensions that disappeared decades ago, okay? And they're bringing them back, the Democrats, and it doesn't surprise me that you have hate crimes at high schools taking place around this country. It's disgusting.
I feel sorry for children that are going to school nowadays. It wasn't like that when I was growing up.
I'd pull my kid out. You know, like I was saying earlier, people will tell themselves, you know, listen, this god-awful mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas is probably the safest school in the country right now. No, it wasn't for this kid. All right, appreciate the call. Take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good. Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Tracy. I'm in Boca.
Okay.
I am a teacher at a high school, maybe 5, 6, 7 miles away from MSD.
Yep.
I did not find out about this till the day after I was watching Salty Cracker on Rumble.
You learned about it. You're a teacher in the area, and you heard about it from Salty Cracker? I mean, what the hell? Salty Cracker is some, like, gamer weirdo on Rumble. And what? Yeah, well, they're not briefing. What?
Here, I've yet to hear it brought up in the school. Yeah, I'm in Palm Beach County, but I'm like on the border.
You know, yeah, you probably teach at my daughter's high school where she graduated from. But I'll tell you this. I won't say the school. I don't want to get you in trouble. This is nonsense. Let me ask you again. They've arrested 5. I've only seen the mugshots of 4. So the 4 they've arrested 5. I've only seen mugshots of 4. 4 African Americans, 1 white victim. If the races were reversed, do you think you would have been told about it at the school?
All day, every day.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been. But I heard there were 15 students.
He was the witness. He was chased by 15, but the beatdown was like 4 or 5 apparently. One punch. Yeah.
The title dived him.
Yeah, they head first into the concrete. Yeah.
Awful. And then, he has a fractured skull. That's it? No, it's way worse than that.
Plus the emotional damage for the rest of his life. But a head injury like that is serious business. Oh, he's okay. He's resting at home. Yeah, right. I mean, you're one of the nearest high schools to this high school, and they haven't even told you about this.
I did not hear about it. Dave
Criminal.
heard about it.
Criminal from Salty Cracker. That's a disgusting. All right, appreciate the call. If you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our break for the top of the hour. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll take our break for the top, come back with your calls and more.
WNN Pompano Beach, WMIR KHD3 Indiantown. Programming paid for by the Canales Media Group. Broadcasting from the Rove Studio. Injured recently? Call the Rove Law Group, where winning is a habit. 561-570-5700. 561-570-5700. Rove's winning for you and our community. Your home for the Steve Kane Show. From the Palm Beach Patio Furniture Weather Center, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created, here's the Oldies forecast.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're off to a great start. It's colder today than it was yesterday. We're starting out in the 40s and 50s across the area. En route to a daytime high again.
Give me a yes or no. Would your guess be racially motivated hate crime? Yes or no? What do you think? All we know is what I've shared. Wow, not one no. Everyone said yes. Wow. This is just an outrageous story. It's outrageous, this story. Just freaking outrageous. I'm going to take a call or two, and then I'm going to recap it. You know, I'd like to get some local people that have some information about it, but there seems to be a cover-up locally with this story. I mean, that teacher called from one of the nearest high schools to this school, and they haven't even mentioned it to the staff. We'll be back in 50 seconds. Yeah, the reason they're dying, D, is because they don't cover the news. They cover up the news. Cops tend to be liberal, you know? All right. Welcome back. Call us on hold, stand by. Just to give you a broad overview, Parkland, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the site of, well, you know, that god-awful event. 15 students chased a student. 5 students have been arrested for beating a student so bad he was hospitalized. They power drived him head first into the concrete. The mugshots, I've seen 4 of the 5 mugshots. Okay, a 5th was arrested after the event turned himself in. The 4 mugshots, the attackers are African American teens, the victims white. This happened last week. I'm learning about it this morning. You know, the reason that the traditional media are going out of business is not because of new things. I mean, look how hot radio is. But we keep up with things. But that's the reason that the traditional media are dying, because we're older than that, right? We're older than cable. We're older than television. This is radio. And radio's booming. It's because the news on television, whether it's cable or broadcast, don't report the news. They cover up the news. That's why. So people leave it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Cynthia from Martin County.
Hey, Cynthia.
People want to know that I wouldn't put a kid in public school. I mean, I'm sorry. No way would I put my kid in public school. There's no need to anymore. They have the Hope Scholarship. The Hope Scholarship was put forth by Citizens Alliance, which is a Florida organization started by a person that was the Tea Party. They're very influential in the State House. They've gotten a lot done. If your kid is bullied, you pull them out, and that money follows the child to any school. Public, private.
Yeah, but listen. There were endless investigations and everything to keep students safe at this particular school, and one of the worst gang mob student beatdowns in the history of our community happened where we had the worst school tragedy. So all these things you're talking about are good in theory if they're used.
Well, first of all, we're not going to change the schools. Let's start here. You get the Hope Scholarship. It was expanded to the homeschoolers now. So that money follows the child. You want to put your kid in private school, Catholic school, whatever? The money follows the child.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of parents, see, but hold on, Cynthia, hold on. That's not the point. A lot of parents can't do that even with that scholarship because they don't have the time to drive them to and from and the transport. There's all kinds of problems, okay? And when you send this business is happening because teachers, administration, and these school cops are incompetent government workers who are sitting around, driving around in golf carts, flirting on their walkie-talkies, waiting for their pension, and they don't want to get involved.
And I agree, and it's going on throughout the country. And just one more thing I'd like to add to that. The textbooks are all written by the same textbook company, and UNESCO is part of the plan coming from the UN. You send your kid to school, I'm sorry, Moms for Liberty can talk and talk and talk and talk, and we're trying. We got 2 people on the school board here. Nothing's really changed. It's not going to change.
You know, what I want to, listen, this sounds like a hate crime to me, okay? A pretty bad one. And the reason it's being disappeared is because the victim's white, and at least 4 of the students, because we don't know about the 5th, at least 4 of the students arrested are African American, and they don't want that out there. Just like in Broward County, the sheriff's department and the school covered up Nicholas Cruz because they didn't want arrest statistics in the school district. Okay, they didn't want expulsion records and things in the school district.
I agree, Brian, but I will say one thing: parents do not know about the Hope Scholarship. Please go to Citizens Alliance and get involved. And here's why: if parents understood that, a lot of these African American parents, they want their kids to get a good education. They could pull their kids out of school.
I don't know. One of the parents here says his son's the victim. One of the parents here says his son's the victim. I don't know how you're a victim when you're part of a mob of 15 chasing a kid down the street and part of a mob of 4 or 5 giving him a beat down, but he's the victim? I mean, what the?
Expect anything different. And under President Trump, I will tell you, because they sat at the table, a lot of people that I was in talk with, they wanted to remove the Department of Education. That is the first thing that has to happen. We need to get rid of the Department of Education.
Well, yeah. All right. So, I'll give you the last word, Cynthia, but I want to, I'll give you the last word.
Everywhere. They're in your local schools.
That's right.
Please go to Citizens Alliance.
Okay. All right. Citizen Alliance, go there. By the way, I want to know, do they have critical race theory taught at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas? I'd like to know. Might be relevant. Might be the reason this happened. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. This is Terry from Florida.
Not yet, Freedom Soup, I will say.
Brian, everything is not that serious. Kids will be kids.
Oh my gosh! Are you? Let me ask you this: are you punking me? Are you punking me?
Oh, just listen to me. Listen to me. This has been going on for years. Okay, kids get in fights. That's what happens. It's not that serious. Everything.
Let me tell you. I really gotta. I don't get angry. Just bear with me, okay? I don't get angry on the air too much. I learned early on doing this that when you get angry and you're in a discussion, in a debate or something on the air, you lose your cool, What you just did, for the first time in years, excuse me, let me finish my sentence. It's about you. Maybe you'll be interested since it's about you. But what you have said so far in this call, for the first time in years, put me in a rage at somebody that called me on the air. And I've had people call in and say terrible, disgusting things. And I'll tell you why you piss me off. Because the perpetrators are black and the victim is white. You don't care. Because you're everything with you was through a prism of race. If it was 4 or 5 white kids attacking a black victim, you'd be all over the place blaming Trump for it.
Black kids, you wouldn't be raising this much sand.
Heck yeah, I would. Heck yeah. And if you didn't notice, Cruz is a Hispanic name. See, and so what you just did was acknowledging it. Because the 4 mugshots we've seen are black teenagers and the victim is white, you're siding with the attackers. What's wrong with you?
Kids. Okay.
No, they're kids. Fights! Really, tell me about the time 15 students chased you down the street and then pile drived you head first into the concrete after they were punching you and continued to beat you down on the concrete.
Kids.
Oh, 20 kids. I really am mad at that guy. I never lose my cool with callers, and it's hard. I might have to dump myself. I have not been ticked off at a caller in years until I heard the disgusting filth that came out of that man's mouth. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on there.
This is Berta from Texas, and I'm really pissed off at your last caller. This would have been considered a freaking lynching if it would have been the other way around. It's not appropriate for kids to beat up on each other and gang up on each other, period. And when you were on break and everything, I just saw the video. They could have killed that kid. If it would have...
And you know what? They may still. I mean, a head injury like that after a beatdown, I'm not so confident he's doing as well as the news is reporting. What's his life good? Yeah.
They could have cracked his skull. That's horrible. And you know what? I hope the mother sues everyone and make it big. Let everyone know it's not appropriate when black people do it to white people and when white people do it to black people. Period.
All right. Now, you're right. And let me tell you a quick story, then we'll break. Calls on hold, stand by. About 20 years ago, there was a black Caribbean station. It was 1580. It was a Caribbean station, and in the middle of the day, they did a talk show. And they were very left-wing, talking about reparations and stuff. And Steve and I used to guest on their show all the time. We'd get off the air, and their studio was in Davie, inside of a mobile home park, Silver Oak Mobile Home Park on Davie Road, across the street from the Pyramid Mausoleum, across the street from Broward College and all that. And there was a shooting in an elementary school, a school shooting. A first grade student shot a girl dead. And Steve and I were scheduled to be on that show. And we were in our cars driving separately, and they were acting appropriately. Jean Jabwin and Miss Ivy. Any of you guys remember those days? A long time ago. Jean Jabwin and Miss Ivy. He had a Caribbean accent on the air. When he was off the air, he sounded like me. But when he was on the air, hey, Mom, we're back, man. You know, all this. It was so ridiculous. I couldn't believe. But anyway, I'm serious. Ask Steve. I swear to you. He had a Jamaican accent on the air and had a normal American accent off the air, even during the breaks. Oh, boy. But anyway, there was a school shooting. First grader shot a girl dead in his classroom. And they were talking appropriately about it. This has got awful. What happened? And Steve and I knew something they didn't know. And this, but somebody beat us to the punch. Someone called in and told them that the shooter was African American. On a dime. They didn't even take a break. They started blaming the parents and making excuses for the kid. Oh, well, you know, somebody left that gun out for that 6-year-old, 7-year-old boy to get it. On a dime! They knew the victim was African, just like that caller. If you're on hold, stand by. There's one opening. Our number 1-888-GO-CANE, 1-888-465-2631. We'll be back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now.
I found out about this after I did the thumbnail and everything. That guy pissed me off. You know how much it takes for a caller to really piss me off? I mean, really piss me. I haven't been that angry. I can't remember the last time I got that angry. No, let them. Don't tell them to leave. Let the liberals stay, Ron. We'll win them over.
FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at True Oldies FLA.
All right, callers on hold standby. One opening on the board at 1-888-GO-CANE-1. If you're planning on retiring in the next 6 days, 6 months, in the new year, a year from now, 2 years from now, or any point in your life, you need a plan of action and advice from a retirement expert who's seen it all. And that, of course, is Joe Thomas. You know, Joe Thomas, he's president of Retirement Network Advisors, which is South Florida's premier retirement experts. And he's been doing that for over 20 years. He also hosts a radio show right here on True Oldies, the Jupiter Joe Money Show. He's been doing that for over a decade. He's on throughout the week and even on Saturdays. He's offering free phone consultations, no matter where you're located, and you want to give him a call. Take advantage. I'm going to give you the number in a moment and his website. Take advantage of this free consultation with Joe Thomas. He's a retirement expert. Talk to him about annuities. You know, with annuities, you're not going to lose money, you're not risking your money, and you'll have guaranteed income for the rest of your life. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, 401ks, IRAs, you're not guaranteed income with all those. Give him a call. Take advantage. Also, he's going to give you a free copy of his book, The Retirement Know-It-All. Here's his number, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. Online, jupiterjoe.com. You can get the number there if you missed it, jupiterjoe.com. All right, I'm going to go to the phones before I recap this story. And I planned on talking about this interview that Tucker Carlson did that I'll try to get to later. But I don't have time to recap it because people are holding, and I want to. Since the media aren't doing it, I'm hoping to get some information from our audience. We've already gotten a little bit. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian Eddie, Fort Lauderdale. How are you?
All right. What's up?
I'm stuffed out fumed for over that call that you had. I hope to God this guy doesn't have any kids. Kids hear his attitude or his take on what he just said has given them carte blanche to do and act up the way they want to do in school. It's incredible to me, that kind of sentiment that kids are just kids. I mean, you know, a silly 2-second pushing match is one thing, but with what these kids did to that poor guy there, it's beyond insane, and you just cannot just say, "Oh, kids will be kids," and that's just what they do.
To me, this is like attempted murder. To me, pile drive head first in the concrete.
Yeah, that's beyond criminal, man. There's no way you can't say that kids will be kids. This is not a simple 2-second pushing match here. No way. You know, I left New York. I retired from New York 2 years ago to come down to Florida, and I just saw it on a news feed yesterday. I work in Lake Worth and live in Lauderdale. And I read in the news feed yesterday, the two worst cities in Florida, Lake Worth and Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I just moved down here 2 years ago to get garbage, and this is what I'm dealing with? Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I should have done more homework to figure out where I was going to work and live. But anyway.
You know, Lauderhill's not bad. I used to live in Lauderhill for a brief time when I first got married many years ago. It's not that bad. Jackie Gleason used to live there, you know, so... That was a long time ago, though.
My wife and I, we just bought our house. We closed on it a month ago, and not this past weekend, somebody tried to break in.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you know, so it's like, man, what is happening? What is going on? You know, where else do I gotta live? Gotta go down to, I don't know, gotta go somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I appreciate the call. Welcome to Florida. Yeah, Ron DeSantis is Florida. You're on the air. By the way, Governor DeSantis, he should be here. He should be here and deal with this. Okay, I don't even know if he lives in Florida anymore. Does he have a residence in Iowa? He's been there all year. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Ronnie Vic W.
Hey, Ronnie.
Palm Beach. You know what? I just at this point in time, you know, I really think people have lost their brains. It's just amazing to me how anybody could justify something like that to be done to another human being. You know, I mean, that is incredible. And I hope, I'm a person of color, I'm a black man, and I'm going to say it like this here because I don't sit in the middle. I'm either for or against. For those who believe in all this violence, you know what? You shouldn't be celebrating Martin Luther King's Day when it comes about. Because, number one, they're going against all the grain of what he believes in. He said, don't judge by the content, the color of your skin, but by the content of your character. And it's just in reverse.
You know, let me tell you. You know, I mentioned in the last hour when I was at Stranahan High School, we had Cracker Slap Day when I was in 9th grade. And do you know? Let me tell you, this is insane. What inspired Cracker Slap Day? A dean who was my dean got arrested for having sex with a student. And the student was white and the dean was black. And it made the news because, you know, that's a sex crime. And because the black dean raped, I mean, that's statutory rape, a white girl, the black students the next day decided that it was Cracker Slap Day and that they were justified in attacking the white students at the school. That was my school. I was there that day. They didn't tell me it was Cracker Slap Day when Mom sent me to school that day, but I found out real quick when I went down one of the stairwells and the walls were covered in blood from a student. You know, yeah, and that's this. But this critical race theory, I find it, and I'll ask you, I find it hard to believe there's not a racial component to this case. It's too intense. Too intense.
It is, because, like, I have plenty of white friends, like I said, you know, and you got to respect the person and respect yourself. It's not about, hey, what can I do to this individual and what should I be doing to this individual? Because, first of all, in my Father's kingdom, it says, for there were many people that no man could number. And it didn't say black, white, green, purple, blue. It said people. And these are idiots.
Well, let me tell you what's going on. In a country, there are certain shared things that you have. Borders, right? A common language and a common culture. And what liberals have done are brainwash non-white students, non-white people to hate white people. And that's what critical race theory is about. That's why, look at this mayor in Boston with her Christmas party where whites aren't allowed, you know, and she's, okay, she already had the party, no one cares, it's even out of the news, you know. The racism from minorities towards white is acceptable in our society now, sadly.
About that situation. But so that's my point. Why are they going to celebrate Martin Luther King's Day? He wasn't for the stuff they're talking about now.
That's right. That's right.
Bring him up. That was not what he was about. But you want to stand on his threshold and say, I am supporting what he believes. No, you're not. You're supporting what? A bunch of ignorant idiots.
Yeah. All right. Listen, I'm late. I'm late for the break, but thanks for the call. Call us on hold. Stand by. Back after this.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're gonna really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
For a sequel in the next hour, I put the 47-second.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, I just got to talk to him just for a second.
stuff with goodies in the kitchen.
Yeah, I did.
You can't do that because you can't just have that in front of you.
Yeah, I know. I didn't have any. I mean,
I had pretzel.
yeah. I don't eat in the mornings. It makes me tired for the air. I don't eat till after I get off the air.
I try not to.
Yeah, very rarely
Yeah.
do I eat, you know. Yesterday I did a little bit, but I could feel it. It makes my brain doesn't work as well if I eat in the mornings before I go on the air.
Kind of makes it all.
Mm-hmm.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. PBKC show tickets and dining certificates make great holiday gifts. In 2024, Panic has a full lineup of fun events, including comedian Sarge, January 12th, Anthony Rodia in February, Adam Carolla in March, and Pauly Shore in April. Our fabulous dinner shows, including Yellow Brick Road, a tribute to Elton John, Portrait of Aretha, Princess Donald's Valentine's Day dinner, So Good the Neil Diamond Experience, and Patty Nicks. For a full schedule and tickets, go to pbkennelclub.com, and happy holidays from PBKC.
Now, guys, I pinned a podcast link up there at the top of the chat. That's a friend of mine's podcast. If you could click on that link and listen to his podcast a little bit, you'll love it. He asked me to share it with you all, and I told him I would. And if you can follow or subscribe, do it. It's a very highly produced podcast, very interesting, very well done. So if you just click that link, take a listen, subscribe if you can, you'll enjoy it. I'll get to that, Tucker, don't worry. I'm sorry, there's breaking news comes down as I'm going on the air. I can't... We got 90 minutes left.
In the state of Florida?
The Steve Kane Show, which has been on the air since 1977, is the longest running radio show in Florida.
The Steve Kane Show, weekday mornings, right here on True Oldies.
Hi, this is Maureen Cohen from Nutritional Palm Beach Gardens. We're so excited to be celebrating 50 years here in South Florida. The Cohen family started their first health food store in 1972, and ever since have been one of the largest locally owned, family-run health food stores in the area. We carry thousands of supplements like vitamins, minerals, herbs, homeopathic, diet and fitness.
Don't worry, I'll get into the Tucker stuff. But this has to be talked. First off, this is a story right here. I got to talk about it. It's too big, too important. What they really want to remove is America, not just these statues.
Are you exhausted after work with no energy left in the tank to give your family? Are you having a midday crash on a daily basis? Women, are menopause symptoms like hot flashes, anxiety, and depression making your daily life feel far more difficult than it should? Men, do you feel like you are aging far beyond what you should? Is your sexual life and relationship suffering because of disappointments in the bedroom? Then take action and let our medical team at Lighthouse Medical Center help you stop the symptoms that are holding you back. We use natural hormone optimization therapies with precision technology to help solve your problems. Our family-owned practice has had the honor of serving our South Florida community for over 71 years. Call us right now and let our medical team get you optimized and feeling the way that you should. Life is too short to be running at less than 100%. You and your family deserve the best version of you. Call us at 222-6642 or visit us at lighthousemedicalcenter.com to schedule your consultation today.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Ryan.
All right, welcome back. Calls on hold, stand by. As the show goes on, I'm going to get into some other topics because there are some big things, including some stuff with Tucker I want to get into. But this is like breaking news that we're talking about today. It's important. I know it's a local story, but this is a national story as well. Let's take some more calls on it, though. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Good morning. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
My name's Angela. I'm calling from Coral Springs.
Oh, okay. You're close.
Yes, I'm calling because the fight actually occurred at North Community Park in Coral Springs.
Well, that's a parking lot where students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas park.
Yes, but Coral Springs Police Department was actually notified that morning that this incident was going to occur. They had an officer there. However, I don't know how you missed the incident, and they've also been notified that this week that part 2 of that fight is going to occur.
Oh, great! So you've got slow down a second here. You've got some inside info. I can't. You sound young. Are you a parent, a student? What's your?
I'm a parent.
Okay. So what's the word on the mean streets of Parkland as to why 15 students chased one child down the street to this parking lot, and then he got a beat down by 4 or 5 of them? What inspired this?
That information, I don't have that information. I'm friends with a friend with one of the mothers. But I just want to point out that Coral Springs is notified also.
Wait a minute. Your friend. Hold on. You're friends with friends of one of the mothers of the people involved?
But one of their kids is friends with some of the kids.
That were part of the Well, I heard your point, but I'm not. But you're friends with a mother of one of the kids that did the beatdown?
No. The Parkland mother.
Okay, so there's no. Now let me ask you this, okay? With the words on the streets over there in Coral Springs, 5 kids were arrested. I've seen mugshots of 4. The 4 I've seen, they're black. The victim's white. Any word on whether was this a racial incident? Was this a racial hate crime? Did the skin color have anything to do with this?
In my opinion, which I really didn't want to give opinions, absolutely. I don't see how it could not.
What about, there's a story about someone had a knife. Do you know who had the knife?
No, right now there's a story going out about part 2 of the fight.
Okay, well, I don't want to get you that. You call the police, not me about. Okay, all right. Don't call me about that part. All right. So not a lot of information there, but we've gotten some. Oh my goodness. If they were notified that this was going to happen, they should have been everywhere. Why would I don't like to say that's like my least favorite word in the English language is telling people what they should be doing. But if they had intel that something was going to happen, especially at that school, but at any school, they should have had the place surrounded. And that whole let's just go. I'm just getting aggravated. You're on the air.
Yeah, it's Renee from Harlem.
Yeah, am I supposed to play some music or something for an introduction?
Whatever you want to do, buddy. Listen, you're such a racist bigot. I wonder what you think about Hannah Payne. Are you mad about her?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is, do you?
I just said I don't know who that is.
Down that 62-year-old man and shot him when he was having a diabetic attack.
Well, she should go to prison. If what you said is true, she should go to prison.
Yeah, she's getting life.
But explain to me what that has to do with this incident of the beatdown of the student that I'm talking about.
They're lucky that boy he survived.
Yeah, they are, because they'd be going to prison. What point are you trying to make, Renee?
The point is that white boy got what he deserved.
Because he's white?
Yes.
What does that mean? Tell me about that.
You deserve it.
Oh, you're telling me a child, because he's white, deserves to be nearly killed? Is that what you're saying?
Man, you're so one-sided and...
No, there's no, yeah. I'm one-sided. I believe that people should not be physically attacked or harmed by other people. That's what I think, yes.
Oh, yeah? So say something about George Floyd.
What about him?
What about him? Did he deserve what happened to him?
No.
So what do you think?
See,
good thing? Was that a bad thing? Are you just as upset about that?
it was a bad thing. No. Excuse me. This is worse. There was a gang of 15 who chased a student down the street, and they could have killed him, okay? So this is pretty bad. But no, I feel bad for George Floyd and everyone else involved in that. Absolutely. Surprise.
Die, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. And these kids are alive. So where's the equality of your outrage?
They have nothing to do with one another. In fact, when George Floyd died, I'm not going to go through what I did the next day on the air, but I did. No, I did not. I'll tell you exactly what I did, and people in this audience will back it up. See, I've been through this before when there's been racial issues in our country, and they're god awful. No, not part of it. But I've excuse me, I'm talking. But an observer like you all, and have seen how bad they can be. Unless you want to include that Cracker Slap Day, which was pretty violent, that I was there during. That was rough. But no, and what I did the day after, I saw what was about to happen with George Floyd because the way the news was carrying it. And I opened the show. I brought to the radio station that day a Bible, which I don't normally do. I brought a Bible, and I opened the show up with the Lord's Prayer that day. Oh, really? Yeah, in fact, if you go on my YouTube channel, it's up there. All right, I don't have time to talk to jerks. Oh, boy. Where are we going? We're going here. Okay, you're on the air.
Hi, good morning.
Yes. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Chris from Port St. Lucie.
Hey, what's up?
So, listen, I think it's time that you put some of these guys that be calling here on a timeout. You cannot have guys, you are conservative talk radio, and these guys are peddling hate.
Uh-huh.
Two callers that know what I'm talking about need a 30...
Well, you can do that on your radio show, but excuse me. Hold on. Excuse me. No. Those slow down. Excuse me. Slow down for a second, Port St. Lucie. Slow down. All right. Hold on a second. You've made a charge here, and I'm gonna explain something to you. Those two callers. I do have to explain because you don't understand. You don't understand. Okay? Let me explain something to you. You might learn something. All right? Or do you not want to learn? You just want to... Can you stop talking for a second? Oh, he hung up. Okay. Boy. And I was upset that my wife and I, we were going to move to Port St. Lucie earlier in the year, and then we found out that they had the highest property income tax in the state of Florida and some other problems, so we didn't. But now I'm glad I didn't. I thought it was a nice town with nice people. Okay, Renee from Harlem and the other guy, whose name I forgot, that ticked me off with the racist rhetoric. Those calls help. Those calls help because it puts a voice, it puts a face to the ugliness that is the Democrat Party with something like that, when something like this happens. Don't you understand? Those calls are spectacular help to the situation that this country is facing. I don't think people realize how bad it is. You know, when you have your politicians like this, like these college heads that won't condemn calling for the genocide of Jews, they're all well-educated and well-spoken, and, and they've got handlers, and after they do it, they go and light menorahs, and all's forgotten, even though they're plagiarists for their dissertations and all this stuff. But when you hear the inner ugliness of what goes on in people like that, which you heard with these two phone calls, it's a wake-up call to people. So no, those calls are very constructive and add a lot to the program. It's not just some shtick. It's not just some gimmick. I know show is the last word in the title of Steve Kane Show, but it's more of a program than a show. But that's not showmanship. Those calls are very constructive, very constructive. And I got to question why that guy doesn't want them to be heard. Maybe he agrees with them and he's smart enough not to say it, like those idiots are too stupid not to say what they're really thinking. We'll be back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Hi, this is Vicki Lawrence. A fast-talking Hollywood agent has persuaded me to co-star in a two-woman show with that crazy old woman from Mama's Family.
And who makes it a two-woman show?
None other than that poster girl for Change of Life, the star of Mama's Family, Thelma Harper.
In the flesh, unplugged, on the edge.
That's a scary thought.
Join us for Vicki Lawrence and Mama, a two-woman show. Vicki Lawrence and Mama, January 10th. Get tickets now at ParkerPlayhouse.com and Ticketmaster.
If you're a homeowner, business owner, or with a homeowners association,
Boy, these callers. All right, welcome back. If you're on hold, stand by. You know, that last caller from Port St. Lucie, he's all angry at me. I didn't hear any complaints. I didn't hear any negative comments about the mob that beat down this child at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Now, I was listening during the break. Tom Laporta from Laporta Contracting, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. Just to give you some information about Tom Laporta, the weather we had over the weekend was brutal, wasn't it? Friday and Saturday, oh my goodness. It wasn't just the rain, it was the wind. I betcha. We certainly had tropical storm force winds. I was real nervous because I just planted in my backyard, I planted an orange tree, a lemon tree, an avocado tree, and a mango tree. And let me tell you, those trees, they ain't cheap. And I was so afraid the wind was going to blow them down. One of the orange tree, I got to straighten up a little bit. But I'm sure we had tropical storm force winds. We may have had even hurricane strength wind gusts. I would not be surprised. The winds, the rains were bad. If you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof, you want to call Tom Laporta. He covers the entire state of Florida. East Coast, West Coast, Keys, Miami, Panhandle, wherever you are in the state of Florida, Tom Laporta can help. He does every type of structure, single-family homes, condos, HOAs, office buildings, churches, municipal buildings, and he works with every type of roofing material too. Okay, if there's a roofing material, he works with it. So give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaContracting.com. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. James from Boca.
Hey.
You know, it comes down to the violence of today has repeated itself in the violence of the 60s. And it's all induced by government. Like you said something I didn't know about, was that there's a law or something passed about, I know there, no child left behind, but you said another one this morning about the school itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, caller called in. I'd forgotten the name of it now off the top of my head. I'm so fuming with rage today on the program. My thoughts are, I can't remember. Yeah.
I heard the gunshot at the school that morning.
Oh, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas?
Yeah. I just got back from church. It was Ash Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it started right after that. But it's the ignorance of people raising their children. No one has any responsibility.
Well, no. What happened? Listen. For those that are just tuning in, let me do a recap. Then we'll talk. A child was almost beaten to death at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School last week. We're just finding out about it today. 5 students have been arrested. 4 mugshots have been released. I haven't seen the 5th. The ones that did the beatdown, that beat this kid really bad, black, victim white. Not only was he being punched, he was picked up by one of the students, slammed on the ground head first into the concrete. He was continually beaten after that. A mob of 15 students chased the student down the street. This was at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, the site of the incident. And I believe there's a high likelihood that there's a racial component to this, and that's why there's a cover-up. It's like this gay sex scandal in the Senate. It's already gone from the media. No one's doing any follow-up on it because it involves a gay Democrat. This is bad. And for this to happen at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the school, the administration, the school resource officer, they all failed again. They all failed again.
Say that the police were notified about this?
That's what the lady said. I don't have that confirmed, but she said that they were.
But it really just comes down to, I think, in life is that just no one got God in their life and no one cared.
Well, that of course is true, but the Democrats are bringing race hatred back. You know, this mayor of Boston with her holiday party that segregated whites were not allowed. You can't. When the desegregation federal laws in this country did not also allow minorities to segregate. That's to protect all people. And they brought in this critical race theory. They brought in all of this stuff that's been going on. And look at some of these liberal black callers I've had today, justifying the actions. You know, the Democrats, it started with George Floyd. They used that to cause racial divisions in this country that are worse than we realize. And I find it impossible to believe that there's not a racial component to this child being beaten almost to death by other children. And as far as I'm concerned, that's why the story's not being covered. And it's being this happened last week. I found out about it this morning on my way in to the radio station, and I follow the news closely.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do in this society. I know that there's all revamped up around 2008 when President Obama got in, because I moved away from Chicago down to Florida because of it. Well,
where's Governor DeSantis? Where's Ron DeSantis? Ron DeSantis should be here. He appointed this sheriff of Broward County. He's since been reelected, but he appointed him. And we just had what I would consider to be one of the most, short of a shooting incident, when we talk about a fight incident, one of the worst physical altercations involving students at one of our schools here in Florida ever. And where's he at? He's up there with Walmart Melania in Iowa.
Like my grandpa used to say, if it takes 15 people to beat up one, then they're a bunch of scaredy cats.
Okay, well, yeah. All right, take care. Thanks for the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, this is Dana from Coral Springs.
Oh, maybe you got some info since you're the... Hold on a second here. I'm hearing myself in the background, so I don't know if you've got me on speaker, Bluetooth, or what. But if you're on speaker or Bluetooth, pick up the phone.
Back.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I met you all at Wings Plus the other day. We had a great time.
Oh, thank you.
Together. As far as it just being reported, I hate the liberal Sun Sentinel. However, I like to read the local news.
Yeah.
The day after the thing happened, the Sun Sentinel, with the kid being attacked, the Sun Sentinel reported that the kid from Marjorie Stoneman, had asked the parking lot is not on school grounds. It's on community.
Well, hold on. Let me clarify this. There's a parking lot that students park in that's down the street from the school, but walking distance. So I consider that part of the school area of responsibility if they're allowing students to park there. But yes.
Students have to pay a $50 fee to park there.
Yeah.
Annual fee.
Mm-hmm.
And that annual fee is supposedly to go towards a little bit of security.
Oh, really?
Yes, the Coral Springs Police Department monitors, that's their district. The sheriff's office is the school district. So it was not on school grounds.
Oh, please. Hold on. What? No, not yeah. And BSO is Broward County. Their jurisdiction goes into every city and town. And I think you could, even if it didn't, I think you can cross the line if there's 15 students chasing another child down the street. So I don't want to hear any jurisdictional crap. And if that is a place that the school is allowing students to park, and I know where it is, it's a short walk from the school, that's still within the realm of the coverage area of the administration and everybody else, as far as I'm concerned. But what else do you know about it, though? I don't want to give you a hard time. I want to get information.
Well, exactly. Apparently, 4 days earlier, there was a similar kind of altercation. So the day that this incident happened with the kid beating, he had asked his friend to walk into the parking lot after school so he could get his car because he felt like he knew something was going to happen.
Yeah.
Likely.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to walk to his car by himself.
Yes.
So the friend walks with him, and this was 4 days earlier. The friend walks with him to the car, and then they start attacking the kid, who was the target.
Wow.
So the friend that was walking with him, when it started to happen, he ran and hid in the bushes because he didn't want to get attacked too. So
did he call 911? I'm sure he had a phone.
I don't know who called 911.
I heard something about a knife in one of the stories too.
I don't know. I didn't read that, but the story broke in the Sun Sentinel the day after it happened, and they had another follow-up. And
yeah.
In the newspaper, there's another follow-up. They're looking for another 6 suspects.
A sixth, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
Well, I mean, the Sun Sentinel. I mean, give me a break. The Sun Sentinel, and I mean, how many pages does the Sun Sentinel have now? 5 pages. It's a pamphlet. Remember the Jewish Journal? The Jewish Journal was thicker than the Sun Sentinel is today. But I'll tell you this. Okay. This story, without question, is being downplayed because of the racial component, and there's got to be a hate crime element to this. I don't care what happened between these guys. Nothing justifies what happened.
But if the child, if the kid was going to be victimized, and I know kids are afraid. They're afraid of getting bullied and so forth like that. If the kid had an inkling this was going to happen, he should have contacted.
Should have. Maybe he did. Let's find out what happened. I'm sure the Sun Sentinel will get to the bottom of it. Do they still have reporters? All right, thanks for the info. I got to run for the break. Okay. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this.
WWNN Pompano Beach, WIRK HD3 Indiantown. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group.
We're coming back.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, the third hour has begun. I'm Brian, Steve joining us. A rough show today, I must tell you. Oh, my goodness. Steve, you would... Well, can you hear me? Okay, well, that's good. Then we're all good to go. If I can hear you and you can hear me, that's all we need, Steve. We need nothing else. No, I'm going to get into this now. Well, it's not a thing with Tucker. Tucker did an interview. I want to play some clips of. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. But I just want to just finish up on the other story first, though, and then I'll get to this. This you cannot depend on the Sun Sentinel for news. Okay, they're liberal hacks. Even though the paper is 6 to 7 pages now, they still think they're the ivory tower of the 70s and 80s. They probably saw the big office spaces. If anyone in this listening audience has any details on this Marjorie Stoneman Douglas incident, we're easy to get a hold of here on the Steve Kane Show, okay, through all our socials and websites and everything else. And because I'm going to keep following this story, it's very important. And feel free to, I'm imagining, Steve, you're going to get some calls from some of your cop friends. They're going to tell you, I hate cops today, like that sometimes happens. But, whatever. So be it.
Like cop friends?
Yeah, one of your cop friends wanted, doesn't, really hates me. I'm sorry when, they're not perfect. Tucker Carlson, I'm going to get into some of this other stuff because I got a lot to get into. This thing with the school I found out on my way in this morning, so it kind of changed gears on where I was going to go at the start of the show. And then when it started, I thought I would just talk about it for a segment or two, and then the phone lit up, and we've gotten a lot of information from the investigative team known as our listening audience, and I appreciate that. No. Tucker Carlson was at Turning Point USA, and he did an interview. He was interviewed by Charlie Kirk, Tim Pool, and some others, and he just shared his opinions on a few things that I thought were interesting and relevant, in particular about Nikki Haley and Kinky Boots Ron DeSantis. And I thought I would just play those and we would talk about them. It's just a little harder for me to focus in on that when this other stuff happened. But this is Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk. They're interviewing Tucker. And, Tucker gave a speech at Turning Point USA. And then after the speech, they interviewed him. So let me play the first clip. This is Tucker with Tim Pool.
You really get the sense that Ron DeSantis, who I liked as governor, the people who represent him online are the nastiest, the stupidest, and the most zero-sum people I've ever seen in my life. And I don't think that reflects him, but it's like, this is kind of small. And by the way, these purported conservatives, Ron DeSantis changed his view, and I like him, okay? I think he's been a good governor. I just want to be clear about that. I know him personally, I like him. But his donor, Ken Griffin, told him to change his view on Ukraine from it's a regional conflict we shouldn't get involved in to it's a super important thing, we should send more money. One donor got him to change his view, and all these so-called conservatives are supporting that like it's the most important thing ever. Like, who are these people? And what?
Okay. Now, this is not about what, I'm against us being involved in the war in Ukraine, but this is not about what your position is on Ukraine, okay? Take it apart from this. Ron DeSantis had the Trump position, right? U.S. involvement, there should be no U.S. involvement in Ukraine. Ron DeSantis had that position. One donor donated money, and he changed his position on a dime, a position that could get us involved in the Third World War. Now, regardless of what your opinion is on Ukraine, this is the problem. His position was bought by one donor. That is a dangerous person to have in a leadership position in this country. That one donor can get them to change their opinion on such a huge matter that could result in death. He says he's a good guy and he's friends with him, but that was a terrible comment by Tucker Carlson of Ron DeSantis, because it's true. And you know what's scary? When he has to drop out of this race eventually, he's still going to be our governor. And we're going to have a couple years of this joker, and he's going to come back here and he's going to be pissed off and mad at us. And basically what Tucker says is he's for sale, Steve, that Ron DeSantis is for sale. And, one of the things about Trump that I like, and some of the people he brought in, like Mnuchin, these guys are so rich they can't be bought. Ron DeSantis is like a middle-class guy, which is fine. I'm a middle-class guy, but I'm not for sale. And because one donor donated money, he's willing to send Americans into harm's way against Russia because some rich guy gave him a few bucks. That sounds like a dangerous person, Steve, to me, and Ron DeSantis. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard not hearing it firsthand.
Are you hearing it now? I just played it for you. You couldn't hear it? You can't hear the audio bites.
Oh.
Come on, let me play one real quick. Let me play it again, and then you can. Let me know if you can hear it. Hold on.
We get the sense that Ron DeSantis, who I liked as governor.
You can't hear that? Okay, that's okay. I'll play it for you again, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay? Yeah. What?
Kirk said he's up for sale. I heard that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he is. I'll play. Listen, let me play it again.
Really get the sense that Ron DeSantis, who I liked as governor.
Now you can hear Tucker there? Okay, let me play it.
The people who represent him online are the nastiest, the stupidest, and the most zero-sum people I've ever seen in my life. And I don't think that reflects him, but it's like, this is kind of small ball. And by the way, these purported conservatives, Ron DeSantis changed his view, and I like him, okay? I think he's been a good governor. I just want to be clear about that. I know him personally, I like him. But his donor, Ken Griffin, told him to change his view on Ukraine from it's a regional conflict we shouldn't get involved in to it's a super important thing we should send more money. One donor got him to change his view, and all these so-called conservatives are supporting that like it's the most important thing ever.
Okay, so one donor gives DeSantis some money, and DeSantis is ready to get us involved in a war. That means he's for sale. He could be bought. That's very dangerous. It doesn't have to do. I know you're pro involvement. It's not about that, Steve. If someone that's to me, what Tucker is saying is that Ron DeSantis is corrupt.
Well, if that's true, I mean, who's going to be in favor of corruption?
Well, anybody who's supporting Ron DeSantis right now is.
I haven't supported DeSantis for.
I know, but I haven't. But Tucker Carlson, listen, he's.
Is in my humble opinion, he's not a player.
Well, Steve,
I told you this months ago. And he might as well not be.
Steve, he's still going to be our governor when he comes back for 2 years. Okay, so he's a player in our lives. Okay, and and that's.
Think what kind of mood he's going to be in when he gets back, and what you asked me what I think. I don't.
All right, okay. So if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll get to the phones in a bit.
DeSantis.
Now I got more on Tucker. I mean, Steve, I can't. You told me to do what you had on Tucker. I'm sharing it. So don't complain. I'm sharing it with you. So then this is an interview again. Tucker did a Turning Point with Tim Pool and Charlie Kirk, and here's Tucker talking about Nikki Haley.
Someone asked me, would you vote for Trump if he chose Nikki as VP? And
would you guys vote for Trump? That's the question that I asked you specifically.
Well, I would not only not vote for that ticket, I would advocate against it as strongly as I could.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's just poison. I mean, here's someone who's actively opposed to the interests of the country I grew up in, who endorsed the BLM riots, and who is not left, but is neoliberal in the darkest, most, speaking of nihilistic way, and has no real popular support. Is a creature of the oligarchs. So yeah, that would be reason to oppose the ticket.
Wow. So that was amazing, because that's a big news drop right there. The question was to Tucker, would you vote for Donald Trump if he picked Nikki Haley as his vice president? He said not only would he not vote for a Trump-Nikki Haley ticket, he would advocate against it. And then he's talked about how she
vote food pie.
or advocate against it. So that's a pretty big deal that Tucker said that about Nikki Haley, and his and that point that he made there about her was interesting. It's because he said she endorsed the BLM riots. And I hope people pick up on this and hold her accountable. I did not know that, and I'd like to hear those comments. But see, this is the interesting thing, because Tucker Carlson has Donald Trump's ear. So these things he's saying about DeSantis, about Nikki Haley, this is what Trump's thinking. Now, I got 2 more clips of him, and then we'll move on. But first, let's take a break. Those of you on hold, stand by. We'll take some calls, too. I got 2 more clips on Tucker that I want to get to after the break. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE 1-888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines.
Hey, Barry, it's Brian. Hey, we got a minute until we come back on. Yeah, Lori told me that you wanted to update a recorded commercial up at the radio station. So I'm gonna text you the address, and then you just tell me a morning you can come up, and then I'll set it up. Okay? All right, great. And what we'll do is we'll have you come in before the end of the show, and we'll do like the last segment with you on the show, on the air. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll text you the address this morning, just so you can gauge when you can do it in your schedule based on where we're located, you know? All right, hold on.
Radio.
All right, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. What do you have for us this morning?
I do know we have a few seats left that are available. That it's going to be first come, first serve. Whoever calls our office and snacks those seats, they're for you. And at that workshop, we are going to be discussing all the things you really need to know to make good decisions when it comes to planning. What type of plan is right for you and your family? What's involved in a revocable living trust? What do you need to know to have a well-drafted trust? Why some estate plans don't work, and what we do to make our estate plans work? What service package and extra tools that you get so that you'll have an estate plan that's going to work for you when you need it. And we're going to cover all of those things this morning at our workshop, and the next ones won't be until January. So get it taken care of in 2023.
Yeah, and you know, with the workshop that Attorney Barry Siegel has, you get a few things. First off, you're going to get a discount on the legal services, which is huge. And you'll watch Barry's presentation, and you will see how ironclad and detailed and how protective these things are for you and your family in every possible scenario that you couldn't even fathom. But they've seen it all over there at the Siegel Law Group. But you also get a chance to meet Attorney Barry Siegel and the staff over at the Siegel Law Group and get to know them a little bit and get to know the people that you're going to be working with. So give them a call. I'll give you the number. If you missed the number, go to the website, SiegelLawGroup.com. What time's the workshop today, Barry, again? 10 a.m. So, yeah, listen, an hour and 42 minutes from now, but you can still make it in there. The number is, if someone call, will there be, like, I'm assuming because the workshop's at 10, people will be in to answer their phones if they call this morning. 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782. Again, 855-FLA-3782. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk later in the week. All right, back after this.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM.
All right, we are back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. Callers on hold, stand by. 1-888-GO-KANE-1. I got 2 more clips of Tucker, and let me play them, and then we'll take some calls on anything we brought up. And I'm saving a really good one for last. The last thing he says was during his speech, and I've never heard a conservative say what he said the way he said it, like at his level. It's pretty interesting, so we'll get to that in a minute. But this is another clip from the interview of Tucker with Charlie Kirk and Tim Pool.
Tucker, what do you make of that? That all of a sudden the home of not just America First, but skepticism about these foreign wars and adventures now lives in the conservative movement?
Well, I think, of course, it's mostly Trump who did that. And I was just, the pivotal moment in the last election, in the 2016 election, that changed my view of everything was the night of the debate in Greenville, South Carolina, when Trump said, you know, that we didn't get anything out of the Iraq War. It was a mistake. And I remember all the dumbos on television. I mean, covering politics is the easiest thing you could ever cover. Right? And so these are mouth breathers. These are low IQ people. And they immediately check the notes. Oh, South Carolina is the highest military population per capita of any state. And so they all are looking, oh, he said that in South Carolina. He criticized the Iraq War. He's going to get creamed in the primary. And I thought the people I know, having been in Iraq and a lot of people who served there, the people who are maddest about the Iraq War, the people whose lives were disrupted or ended or severely injured by that war. And of course he won. And it was at that moment, he won the South Carolina primary, it was at that moment that they decided, Bill Kristol and the rest of the ghouls, who were trying to think about how to subvert this campaign and draw its energy for their own dark ends, they decided, oh, well, we have to stop him, you know, and that's when the realignment happened on the left, where Liz Cheney and Bill Kristol and all these people whose core problem is they could never admit that the great adventure of their life, the Iraq War, was wrong. They could never admit it. And if they just admitted it, I mean, Liz Cheney has lived with this burden, and she's obviously a bloodthirsty freak, but one of the reasons that she is a bloodthirsty freak is that she's never been able to be honest about her own complicity in this crime. And if she would be totally free of all that, and she'd be like a normal human being who her husband could love again, and it would just be all good.
Okay, so that clip there, now what's interesting about that clip is he was talking about the first campaign, and and President Trump talked about his opposition to the war in Iraq, and he won South Carolina. And not only did he win South Carolina in the primary, he won the military vote in South Carolina because of his position that was anti-war. And he's anti-Ukraine war, and South Carolina is number 3 on the list of primaries, so Tucker's predicting a win in South Carolina for Donald Trump. And remember, on that ballot, it's going to be Nikki Haley, who was twice elected governor of South Carolina. So that's a lot of good, interesting stuff came from Tucker at Turning Point. Now, this last clip is from his speech. And the reason I play this, see, I believe that Tucker Carlson is an advisor to President Trump. I believe that he's an advisor that President Trump calls upon and asks for his advice. I do believe that. But I also believe that President Trump listens to Tucker Carlson when he's out there speaking. I'm sure this interview Tucker did has been seen by President Trump. If not, it will be. And I think he takes to heart what Tucker Carlson says is very, very good, important advice, and takes it to heart. And President Trump overturned Roe v. Wade with his Supreme Court picks. And what we keep hearing from a lot of conservatives, mostly the Weekly Standard type conservatives, the Liz Cheney types, is that abortion is a losing issue for Republicans, right? Abortion is a losing issue for Republicans. They keep telling us that. And Tucker was talking about abortion in a way that I've never seen a top conservative. I've heard like radical pro-life activists talk this way, but I've never seen someone with the ear to the president talk this way about abortion. This was during Tucker's speech on stage at Turning Point. Oh, hold on. Rewind it. There we go. I got so many clips. Here we go.
I do think that countries like people suffer consequences for immorality. And if your country celebrates it, if it elevates abortion as a positive good, a means of freedom, it's just child sacrifice. That's exactly what that is. And mutilating children, discarding children, promoting prostitution, selling people's bodies? What? I think you suffer consequences. I think there's a lot of evidence that you do. And again, I'm not a theologian. Don't ask me at the end times. I have no idea. But that is a very dangerous thing to do, and we are doing it.
Okay, so yeah, I gotta say, I'm sure you probably agree with this, that Tucker's an advisor to President Trump. He said abortion is child sacrifice. That's amazing. I've never heard somebody at that level say it like that. That means that's what I think. What Tucker says is the way Trump's thinking, and I think that's a good thing. So things are looking good for us, Steve. And this Tucker was just on fire at Turning Point over the weekend. All right, our number 1-888-GO-CANE-1, 888-465-2631. You're welcome to call in about any and everything we brought up since 6 a.m. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Barb in Baltimore.
Hey, Barb.
Joe.
Thank you.
Hey, Steve. Tucker is on point about everything, and what you're saying is absolutely correct. I do believe that he's not a mouthpiece for Donald Trump, but he does put things in the right perspective. You know, he's calmer about how he says what he says, but saying that abortion, child sacrifice, that was huge.
Well, what he's saying is, see, this is very important. Tucker Carlson is one of President Trump's personal friends, him, Kid Rock, a handful of others. They hang out together, they socialize together beyond through the realm of, you know, business or politics, all right? And what Tucker Carlson's advice, how many times you turn on conservatives say, stay away from abortion, that's a loser. And Tucker's telling Trump to support abortion to get elected is child sacrifice to get elected. So stick with the pro-life position. That's Tucker's advice to Trump, is what I took from that.
Well, I don't think Donald Trump has moved away from being pro-life.
Not at all.
It's the messaging. Yeah, it's the messaging that Republicans have. What I found out just being in the street, I was getting signatures because I live in Maryland, and here a baby can be aborted up to 9 months. And that is the thing that most people do not understand. I got a bunch of signatures. We were only 5,000 short of cutting that thing out of, getting rid of that part of the abortion law. But people are not aware of that. They're not aware of what it means, partial birth abortion. You need to just spell it out to them. You got to.
A lot
You just got to spell it out. You know, we don't have to. It's not rocket science. And most people, and I found this out at shopping centers. I got signatures here in Maryland trying to help to stop this thing. And most people, in fact, everyone I spoke to, no one thought that you could.
Well, unfortunately, you're in Maryland, but you know, Roe v. Wade stopped states from restricting abortion, and now that it was overturned because of President Trump, eventually there'll be restrictions in even liberal areas over the course of time because
It happens, but that's why it's a state issue, and that's why it's not a federal issue. And in the states, people are losing when they take this, like Del Mastriano and exceptions. You can't do it like that. But anyway, I love what Tucker's doing, but I just wanted to comment about what happened at that school that was beat up. Let me tell you something. You saw that because it was so horrific and it's on the news. But this sort of stuff happens around this country every day. What has happened in this country because of critical race?
That's right.
And white people are the predators and the black kids are the victims. I have had friends of mine whose children are afraid to go to school. This is real.
Well, let me tell you another reason this is important. Kinky Boots, our governor, Ron DeSantis, I thought he outlawed critical race theory. I want to find out if it's still Roger Stone, the great Roger Stone, he lives in Broward County, where this school is, okay? And Roger Stone said critical race theory is still being taught in Florida. And Ron DeSantis needs to get out of Iowa. You're going to lose anyway. Come down here, accept your defeat like a man, do your damn job, and find out if critical race theory is being taught in Broward County. I'm telling you, critical race theory has a role to play in this violent incident. Listen, Barbara, we got to run. I'm sorry you called up against the break, but take care. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again.
I think you're gonna really love it.
It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
By Palm Beach Patio Furniture. One Seminole Plaza Shops North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Voted the best patio store in Palm Beach County. PalmBeachPatioFurniture.com, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Club. PBKC show tickets and dining certificates make great holiday gifts. In 2024, the Paddock has a full line of fun events, including comedian Sarge January 12th, Anthony Rodia in February, Adam Carolla in March, and Pauly Shore in April. Our fabulous dinner shows, including Yellow Brick Road, a tribute to Elton John, Portrait of Aretha, Chris McDonald's Valentine's Day dinner, So Good the Neil Diamond Experience, and Petty Nicks. For a full schedule and tickets, go to pbkennelclub.com, and happy holidays from PBKC.
Tom Laporta here from Laporta Contracting, Roofing and Building Restoration. We have been in the roofing and construction industry for 40 years. We are originally from Connecticut, where our values and work ethic is second to none. We install all kinds of roofs, from asphalt shingle, clay and concrete tile, standing metal seam, slate tile, and flat roof systems. We work with homeowners, HOAs, commercial properties, and churches. We are state of Florida licensed roofing and general contractors. At Laporta Contracting, family is what we are, and roofing and restoration is what we do. We help guide our customers to a successful outcome by constantly informing them every step of the way. At Laporta Contracting, let our family take care of your family. Call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or visit us on our website at laportacontracting.com. That number again is 954-604-4602.
He's known worldwide as the voice of romance.
I think that's going to help my life up very, very much.
Call Joe Thomas for your free phone consultation and a free copy of his book, The Retirement Know-It-All. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. Online, JupiterJoe.com.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 46 years on the air.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. Steve, of course, is here. Have you seen what's going on at the southern border last night and this morning, Steve?
Tonight, no.
There have been multiple reporters whose whole job is covering the southern border. You know, that Eagle Pass area. You know, yeah, they've been there though. Some of them more people. There are more illegals massing at the southern border than any of the reporters have ever seen, and. You know, they probably don't teach this at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. You know what they teach kids in history now? Pilgrims came to America, killed the Indians, stole all the land, and then they brought Africans here to make them slaves. That's all you learn in school. But when I grew up, we learned a great phrase: "Remember the Alamo," you know, and yeah, that's right. Davy Crockett, man of the wild frontier, Davy Crockett and, Colonel Travis and all those great Texians. But the Alamo, there are, and this is insane, right now, just at this moment, I'm not talking about over the course of 24 hours, right now, there are more Mexicans invading America at the southern border than attack the Alamo, and that's not an exaggeration. It's believed that about 1,800 Mexican soldiers attacked the Alamo. There are many thousands more than that right now amassing at the southern border. And, that's why there's such a negative opinion towards maintaining the sovereignty of Ukrainian borders when our southern border has just been erased from the map. And the video of what's going on in the southern border, I don't even want to watch it. It is. I'll tell you, the video of the invasion at the southern border, a larger invasion than the force that attacked the Alamo, and that is not an exaggeration. I just use that to put in context. I mean, how much of our history is based on the Alamo, and we have an Alamo happening every few hours at the southern border at Eagle Pass right now. Every reporter at the southern border with different media outlets says some of them have been there for years, some of them have been there for months. They've never seen a mass of so many. This video at the southern border is as disturbing as that gay sex video in the Senate from the weekend, and as disturbing as this attack on this poor student at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas last week that I saw this morning. We are losing our civilization. We're losing our country. This country is being invaded by foreigners. What?
I'll tell you why I disagree with you. I think what you're seeing now are the final death throes of the Biden administration. We've known from the beginning that in order for things to really start to get meaningfully better, that things are going to have to get a lot worse, and that's exactly what's happening now. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And what's going to happen in the end is going to lead to the election of.
True, but Steve,
this thing is going to be good.
But how many millions of illegals are going to be embedded in our society?
You have no choice. This is a process. You understand what I'm saying? So until we go through this, the country goes through this process, this thing is not going to stop. People are getting fed up and more angry and more angry and more angry. And you know what's going to culminate? It's going to culminate in the election.
Yeah.
And the Democrats are going to get annihilated.
But Steve, let me tell you, yes, you're correct. But in the long term, see, what's going on here is the Democrats are more patient. If you're on hold, stand by. Just let me make this comment, then we'll go to the phones. The Democrat leadership is more patient than people realize. Okay. The Democrat Party, they've already accepted the re-election of the greatest president ever, Donald Trump. They're thinking down the road. The Democrat strategy, moving past the Trump second term, is one strategy, and that is turning Texas blue. Texas is a huge state with so many electoral. If we lose Texas to the Democrats, the country is done. Republicans cannot win if Texas goes blue. And what's going on at the southern border is to make Texas blue. And they're thinking about years down the road.
The reason I disagree with that is because what's going on now is the Mexicans that are moving into the United States, and we were told with this replacement theory that it means that they're going to take over. The bottom line is they're all starting to vote Republican. The newbies coming into the country.
I don't believe that. I'm talking about the millions. Steve, I don't believe the news. The millions that are pouring in at Eagle Pass are not Republicans, Steve. I mean, they're wearing Biden shirts. You want to take some calls?
Sure.
All right. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie.
Hey, Richie.
Hey, Rich.
Good morning, Steve. I hear this is very interesting what you're talking about. But earlier you just talked about abortion, and I think both of you have the right position, but I think that you're both blinded by preaching to the choir. And I know you both have adopted children, and I know Brian is really 150% against abortion, which I am also. I've told Brian in the past, but you guys don't realize it's not the Republican messaging on abortion. It's a fact that it's a red button item for the Democrats. On X, almost every other thing is abortion, taking away the women's rights. We didn't have the red wave because of abortion.
So says Karl Rove. So what? Let me ask you this, Richie. So what you're saying is, to use the words of the great Tucker Carlson, we should sacrifice children into volcanoes, to win. Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm suggesting the fact that I'm telling you the fact that you want to get Democrats out there to vote. Keep on bringing up abortion and see what happens. I understand that you have strong feeling about this, and I'm not talking about sacrifice. But if you want to win an election, how do you think the rest? You said that there was no big demonstrations after the
No.
The elections in Ohio, the elections with the red wave with the Senate and Congress.
That's not why. Listen, Cleveland. I can't remember the name of the county Cleveland's in. It starts with an M. Cleveland and Cincinnati and Columbus. Because my hometown's Columbus, Ohio. That's where the three big voting blocks in Ohio come from: Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus. Those cities are BLM. Okay, they're controlled by BLM. So those are black Democrat votes. I'm not gonna Fox News keeps telling us. Okay, Kellyanne Conway is an advisor to President Trump. Tucker Carlson's an advisor to Trump. Both of them have said this week to not go light on abortion, go stronger on abortion. We'll win more if we're honest about our position. And I think Kellyanne Conway and Tucker Carlson know a little bit more than you and I about such things.
Yeah, but listen, what it is doing is bringing out Democrats.
Says who? Karl Rove?
Go look at.
We won the midterms, Richie. We won the midterms.
It was a landslide, and we didn't. There was no.
Well, a lot. No, it was. That's not true. We won the House of Representatives. Okay, It does. I don't care. People win Olympic medals by a 100th of a second. So what? Let me finish, Richie. Let me finish. Okay, about this. The reason we didn't perform better in the midterms is because President Trump traveled around campaigning for everyone running for federal office, and the TV didn't carry one of them. So they didn't get proper television coverage because they wanted a narrative that Trump was lost. And I'll tell you what, Fox News, I think they're pro-abortion because they got a lot of pretty girls on TV that have had them. Okay, and they got a lot of sex problems there. They got a lot of guys that have paid for them. Okay, so that's why they talk about it so much like that.
But it's bringing Democrats out there to vote, and they have more Democrats in this country than Republicans.
All right, you're wrong. Okay, Richard, appreciate the call. I do have. There was Lara Logan did an interview with a congressman. I'm not. Maybe we can play it in the last segment, Steve. It's about January 6th. It's huge. One of the biggest stories of the day. Lara Logan. Lara Logan's the reporter that was raped, covering the Muslim Spring. Remember that when she was reporting on it for the networks, and she is a great reporter, Lara Logan. But let's take our break first, and we'll see if we have time for that. I want to play a clip. She interviewed a congressman about January 6th who broke major news. So this is something that you will not want to miss because I don't think this is going to get coverage in very many places because it doesn't fit the narrative. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 46 years on the radio. Steve, we got to get new bumpers on the show because starting January 1st, celebrating 47 years on the radio, The Steve Kane Show. So can you believe it? We're almost to can you imagine? Let me ask you, when you first started doing the show 47 years ago, was that before did you have to do was that before wireless radio? Did you have to do it like in Morse code? How did you take calls? Did you have to hold that thing up to your ear and yell into the megaphone thing?
No, actually, we used the old tin can thing.
Oh!
Tin cans.
Yeah. Did you? And instead of giving out the number like 888-GO-CANE-1, did you say like New York 568? How did you guys used to say phone numbers? I bet you had one of those numbers with the name in it, with the word. Did you ever have one of those numbers?
Yeah.
Do you remember any of them? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not on the radio, but I remember my earliest phone number.
What was it? What one with the words in it?
No.
Oh, you don't go back that far. But the show was in Morse code back then, right? D D D da da da. All right, we'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to.
All right, now we're going to talk about one of the few things older than the Steve Kane Show, and that is precious metals with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca. William Youngerman, how the metals looking?
Well, metal's looking very firm again. Up $7.10 on gold yesterday, closing out the day at $2,027. Silver was down 7 cents, closing at $23.80. Platinum gained $6 at $946. And palladium was up another $10 at $1,174. So metals are very firm. Today we got gold up another $2 at $2,029. We have been higher and we have been lower. Silver, $23.95, up 15 cents. Platinum up $1 at $9.47, and palladium up $6 at $1,180. So metals are doing fine, holding firm.
Awesome.
Playing with the $24. We were over $24 at one point today, but holding right around that $24 number for silver.
That's awesome. When it comes to buying gold, which you all should be doing, because gold's looking good, man, and it's been money for 5,000 years, so I think it's a safe investment. When it comes to buying gold, if somebody comes in, they want to buy an ounce, what decides whether or not it's best for them to buy a coin or buy like a 1 ounce bar?
Actually, it doesn't make a lot of difference. It's just personal preference.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting into a great quantity of gold or silver, but the options are. It
doesn't. Yeah.
Everybody can enjoy getting different kinds or all the same, whatever they prefer.
Now, if somebody wanted to buy like say 10 ounces, would you recommend they buy 10 1 ounce coins or a 10 ounce bar?
That's the only position I would get, the 10 1 ounce items, because that way you can sell a single ounce rather than having to be selling the whole 10 ounce bar. Yeah. See, that's the kind of things you can talk to William Youngerman and his crew over there about these things, because maybe you want to buy a new car and you want a down payment. You don't want to sell the whole bar. You sell a couple ounces. All right. Well, listen. Give William Youngerman a call. He opens up at 10 a.m. His number 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. Online, WilliamYoungerman.com, or stop in 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow. Okay, have a good day.
All right, back after this. All right, we are back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane, of course, is here. So Lara Logan, she is very good. And she was raped by multiple men at the Muslim Spring coverage. I can't remember where she was. Was she in Egypt? Does anyone remember where was she? And it's amazing that she's able to even continue. And I think it just made her better at her job, because she's not going to let those monsters stop her. Because she was a brave reporter then, and she's very brave now. She interviewed a congressman, Steve, Clay Higgins, and it's about January 6th, and he has information that a lot of people will say, well, we know these things. There's a difference between knowing things and having credible sources report them. You understand what I mean, guys? There's a big difference. And Clay Higgins is a Republican congressman from the great state of Louisiana, where our Speaker of the House is. And he, I think, dropped huge January 6th information to Lara Logan. So this is Congressman Clay Higgins with Lara Logan talking about January 6th. Listen carefully to this.
Moment that I'm able to reveal that stuff, I will. I mean, if you clearly have men dressed as Trump supporters walking around inside the Capitol on the other side of police officers who are, to one extent or another, not engaged with them, like they're not concerned about them. Then you have a set of closed doors, like exterior doors and interior doors closed, and you have police officers positioned outside and then in between the two doors, and then on the inside of the second set of doors weren't open yet.
What
so if
time
you have
was
video, this was a couple of videos that Trump was still speaking.
Okay, so now he's seen the videos, and he is confirming that locked doors inside the Capitol were opened by the police to allow the MAGA people to walk through them, but he's got more.
And on the inside, look like Trump supporters walking around in groups of 5 or 6. So these would be clearly separated physically and by doors and by police officers from the guys on the outside. So any reasonable man would come to the conclusion, when you have videos of the doors being opened and police officers allowing Trump supporters that had gathered at the door to now enter, no violence, just walking in, just come on in, some fist bumps, and come in, a second set of doors open, and then there's a group of Trump supporters on the steps, the interior steps, saying, come on, this way, this way.
What is that?
Any reasonable man would look at that and say this was a coordinated effort by law enforcement to have these people come in. So who was that? It had to be, I think it's nefarious forces and part of the whole agenda of the FBI with their involvement of this whole thing. We have other evidence, but observations of police officers, Capitol Police or Metro or both, entering rooms and here in the Capitol in uniform and coming out as Trump supporters and construction workers. So,
okay, now this is amazing. So this is Congressman Clay Higgins from Louisiana. So there are witnesses that saw police officers go into rooms and police uniform and walk out dressed in MAGA gear, and some as construction workers inside the Capitol building. That shows pre-planning and conspiracy. I mean, that's huge stuff. That the Republicans have witnesses to this, and that'll help them narrow down times and timestamps to see if that video exists, and if it doesn't, an investigation on who destroyed it. The unfortunate thing about the aftermath of January 6th is that it's going to go, because the fake news media set a narrative in the beginning, that'll become the main historical record because the liberals write the history. So all these things we're hearing is, no matter how many people testify, no matter how much evidence, even video, it's going to always be conspiratorial theory like the JFK assassination. But this is the first time I've heard a high-ranking government official who's seen the tapes and spoken to witnesses who said that police officers went into rooms as police officers and came out dressed as MAGA people. That's pretty big. That's huge, Steve. And let me see if he's got anything else to say, because we're almost done with it.
In that.
Yeah, so...
Why has that video not been released yet?
One would say that's a pretty good clue.
Yeah.
The other reason that we believe is just practical to have someone that knows how to get around. I mean, you know yourself, you can't walk around this place and know where you're going. You have to be here for years and years.
The Capitol is a maze.
That's right, and it's incredibly difficult to get around. You have to know where you're going. So you had to have people that were very familiar with the Capitol itself in order to lead some random groups of citizens that have come from every corner of the country. In many cases, never been to D.C. before, much less walked around in the Capitol. So it just makes sense that the Trump supporters that were leading the way and were clearly already inside the Capitol before the doors were opened were working in coordination with the FBI agents and assets that were embedded into the crowd. In some cases, in these groups had been embedded for months. This is ugly stuff we're discussing, but the American people deserve to know the truth, and I intend to see that it happens.
Wow. Okay. So that's interesting. So then another thing he just dropped is that the feds had been infiltrated for months in the MAGA movement. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? So this interview, because Lara Logan has been sidelined by mainstream media for some reason. She's probably because she's such a great reporter, and you're not really supposed to be that. That is one of the most important January 6th interviews I've ever heard, and there's tons of new information there. The police officers changing into MAGA clothes, and this whole thing, I'd never even heard anybody talk about this, about the leaders' workups.
Become common knowledge?
Well, I just got it new this morning. This is a new interview, and hopefully people will pick up on it.
Yes.
I think it'll be suppressed like the gay sex scandal in the Senate room.
True.
Yeah, but we got to share with our audience what's out there, not just what the rest of the media are parroting, because this is huge. His name's Clay Higgins. I did tweet this. If you guys go to my Twitter, you can get that and share it on your social media. Share this show on your social media too, because this is huge, important stuff, and you're hearing about it first. Now, listen, there's a lot of great gifts you can give people for Christmas or any other holiday. This one doesn't need a holiday. Give them the gift of their life back without pain. And, if you or a family member are suffering with pain, go see Dr. Appleton. Take them to see Dr. Appleton. Rid them of their pain. His laser wave pain treatment works. He's rid me of pain 5 times. It works on pretty much every type of pain. I've got a list of some of the major ones that I go over all the time. You've heard me talk about it. If you're suffering with pain, you don't have to. I thought pain was just part of growing older, and I'm getting older, and I was like, well, that's like you with the neuropathy. I thought, well, I'm older, I'm in pain, I got arthritis, that's my life now, I guess I'm like my grandma. I remember she had arthritis. No, living with arthritis, living with pain, living with bursts, anything, that doesn't have to be your life. Dr. Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment can rid you of your pain like he rid me of mine 5 times, sometimes from like the arthritis, sometimes from injuries. With the laser wave pain treatment, and by the way, Dr. Appleton performs all the treatments himself, not an assistant, himself, which is amazing. I thought I was just getting VIP treatment. Everyone's a VIP with Dr. Appleton. It's completely painless, no drugs, no downtime, no surgery, and no injections, and it works. Appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. I'm going to give you Dr. Appleton's number. If you miss the number, go to his website. It's listed there, AppletonChiro.com. AppletonChiro.com. Here's the number, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Dr. Appleton a call.
Yes, I hear me in the background. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Massachusetts.
Hey, Helen.
How are you? Good morning, Brian.
Yes.
Hey, regarding Laura Logan, the reason why she's on Fox is because she reported. I'm guessing this is the reason. Okay, just to be clear. She was reporting, she was with a group of people doing a segment, and they were talking about Dr. Fauci. And all she did was report that people were talking about
Yes, Mingala. She said yes, they got rid of her for that. And let me tell you, she did a report, Lara Logan did a report for Fox after Biden was in office. She went to the town in Mexico on the border where the sex trafficking happens. She was with the Mexican police, and the sex traffickers surrounded her and the police, and she still reported on the sex trafficking. And, and I imagine, I don't know this for a fact, so I probably shouldn't say, but, she's a sex crimes victim. I mean, she was gang raped during Muslim Spring. So she's probably got a lot of issues, and she may be difficult to work with, and she may be difficult to be a good corporate employee. But let me tell you, she's one of the most incredible investigative reporters that this country has ever known. And she reports, her reporting is accurate. And she goes places other people don't go. And if you guys can find that border town sex trafficking story she did for Fox, you'll know what I mean. So, hey, listen, appreciate the call, Helen. We're just up against the end of the show. Well, listen, guys, great show today, and I'll continue to throw out, if anyone has any updates on the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas incident, get in touch with us off the air. I'd like to get some information that's not copied and pasted from other stories and plagiarized like all our local news. I mean, I just you can get no information in our local news other than very surface stuff. And I know we got a lot of Parkland and Coral Springs residents in this audience that have heard on the grapevines, on the mean streets of Parkland and Coral Springs, what's going on. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane, of course, has been here. My name is Brian Craig. This is the longest-running radio show in the state of Florida, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 46, soon to be 47 years on the radio. God bless America, and God bless the greatest president ever, Donald Trump. See you tomorrow.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and like the video, everyone. And I will see you soon. Take care.